OJ and Deb and Superstar Raven here. We finally got her
Situated?
situated.
She's just settling in for a nap.
Yeah, she'd already got her eyes closed.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
I got some notes here.
She has notes.
Better hold on to these notes because.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, hope everybody's having a great day. We're having a great day because every day is a Saturday. But, anyways,
Alex.
A, as in Canada, A. So, a few weeks ago, we were sharing some Christmas traditions. And one story.
We got a little off track.
Yeah, sort of like a squirrel, gone.
And, I got off track.
Yeah, imagine that. Anyways, we thought, well, let's do a video and we'll share some more.
Well,
so we'll share this one.
We cut that.
Yeah, we had to cut it right out.
The story was almost 5 minutes long and it was more a memory, so we cut it.
Yeah, sort of long-winded.
So we decided to keep that footage in, and we'll use it in this video.
Yeah, I know.
It's more of a Christmas memory. Definitely not a tradition, but it's a memory. We thought
it's a memory we'll never forget.
And we'll share a few other memories after that.
Yeah,
so we're just gonna put the footage.
We'll
right
put
here.
the right here, like right now.
And then we'll just come back.
Yeah, whatever. I don't know.
And going to Grandma's place. I think there was only 1 year when our kids were growing up that we didn't go to my mom and dad's. But pretty much every year we'd go out to the farm and we'd have Christmas at mom and dad's. And I didn't write this one down, but there was one Christmas. We went out Christmas Eve with the plan of then going back home, having Christmas at home, and then going back to the farm. Well, there was a bunch of family out there, and a few of them brought snowmobiles, and they all went snowmobiling. Well, my kids weren't really dressed for snowmobiling. We came with the plan to take family pictures. So Dana was wearing a skirt, and she was not dressed for snowmobiling, but I guess she must have put her ski pants. Or something.
They must have brought them anyways, because we always thought, bring them along, whether you need them or not. We could break down.
Yeah, but she went out on a snowmobile, and everybody was coming and going, and we hadn't seen Dana or her cousin Kevin in a long
hadn't
time.
Come back for quite a while.
And anyway, it was about 8:30. We realized everybody was back, and they weren't back. So I don't know how long.
They went out and looked around, and then they come back. We can't find them.
Oh, and the farm is very close to like snowmobile trails. We're on the edge of like Spruce Woods Provincial Park, and the trails come fairly close to the farm. So there's cabins along the way. But anyway, they didn't come back. So we ended up we had the police come out, we had the park patrol come out. And how many snowmobiles? You phoned some friends.
Phoned a bunch of friends around Carberry, where we were living, and I knew he says he'll get a bunch, and they brought
15, I think.
Four snowmobiles they brought, and then so there's like 15 or 16 snowmobiles out looking around.
Well, and my brother and a neighbor, they were the first ones to go out.
Yeah.
And they did end up being the ones to find them.
The friend I called Rick, and they brought all these snowmobiles, and he brought Bob Martin, which I ended up...
Rick Ducharme, just in case he's watching. Thanks, Rick.
And Bob said, do you want to ride with me? I said, no, I'll ride with Rick. Because Bob used to like to race snowmobiles, like 100 and some miles an hour. And I was good at I'll go with Rick. I know I'm good.
Now we got into memories instead of traditions. Yeah. But anyway, they ended up, what had happened was they got to the first cabin. And when they went to come back to the farm, they turned the wrong way.
Yeah.
And
he had a broken shock. So
it was a very old, heavy.
So he couldn't really just turn into the snow off the trail and
or he'd
turn
be
around.
Stuck. He had to stay on the trail, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, they just kept going until they got to the next cabin, and there was a stove in there, so they lit a fire. It was my brother, the first one that went out, my brother, and I think, was it Clay Erickson.
Yeah.
That was an Erickson. Anyway, they were the ones who finally found them, and they walked in the door at 3:30 a.m.
Yeah.
This is Christmas Eve, so that was a Christmas to remember.
So what
we
I did,
don't want to make that a tradition. No.
So what I did is I drove all the way home myself.
No, you and me drove home. We left
Did
the
we?
kids
Yeah, I guess
because
so.
the kids, the other younger kids, were sleeping probably.
So yeah, we picked all the presents up and then took them back.
So we didn't get much sleep, but we got the presents and we just had Christmas morning at the farm. So yes, that was quite the Christmas, and not one we want to repeat as a tradition.
Yeah.
So on with the
And the
tradition.
show, this is it. So, what'd you think of that? What do you think of that, eh? So the rest of our marriage, our rest of our memories, tradition memories, and aren't so dramatic, but they're memories. And there's one memory where
we had some difficult times.
Yeah, we had a bunch of difficult times. We had a pizza place and we went bankrupt, and one winter we ended up moving back and we lived with my mom for
just for the winter.
2 or 3 months or something like that.
Until we found our own place to rent.
Yeah, and then she was fine with it, and so.
But we were
But
broke.
we were
broke.
We were on dirt broke, and so we.
Had to get creative.
That wasn't the word I was. Yeah. We gotta come up with things. That wasn't not the word I'm thinking of. But
creative is a good word.
Creative's a good word.
So.
But that's your word.
That's my word. Well, I was the one that had to get creative. So.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So when are we gonna get all these kids and it's Christmas time?
Yeah.
And that's all this. Yeah.
So one of the gifts that I come up with was just a craft box. I filled it with construction paper and just inexpensive craft supplies. I think I even gathered up things like cotton balls and Q-tips and who knows what. We did a lot of eggshell art, so I probably even had some eggshells in there. But so that was one. And then for our oldest daughter, I wrote some stories and I made them into a book, and I just cut pictures out of magazines because back then.
Not sure if these kids remember all this or not. Or?
I don't know if they do or not, but you know what? They didn't really notice we were poor.
No.
They had fun, and so.
As long as there was presents of something to open, well, they were happy.
Yeah, it was, and just having fun going out to the farm and visiting cousins, and so I think that's why that Christmas stands out.
Down, Raven.
Got her button here. I think that's why that Christmas stands out in my memory, is because it wasn't about the Christmas gifts or getting big gifts or whatever. It was just about being together and having a good time with family.
Yeah.
So, and then for quite a few years we did making our own wrapping paper. Remember?
Oh yes. And the Brandon Sun was a newspaper. I don't even know if it's around anymore. But anyways, they had all their printing in Brandon, which is 30 minutes away, and somebody told us about roll-ins, and you'd get a roll of paper like this, and it's 3 feet long, and then there was miles and miles on there, like you'd get it for $3 or $4 or whatever it was. It wasn't much, and then the kids would, okay, I want to draw something, or we made the wrapping paper, or just decorated it, and they had a blast and kept them occupied. And free wrapping paper, other than the crayons.
But why waste money on wrapping paper when you could put that money into gifts?
That's right.
And then just, I don't know, a few years ago I did the same with her granddaughter. We made stamps out of potato. We had little Christmas trees, and you dip it in the paint and put it on. She had a great time with that. So
I don't know, have you guys ever thought of this?
Way to save money. You don't have a lot of money at Christmas time. There's lots of creative ways to still make it fun.
Yeah.
Sometimes even better.
Speaking of fun, we did have some fun activities with wrapping paper besides
Oh,
making
yes.
our own. So yeah,
We had the Star Trek series where
Wow. We were big
where
Star
we were
Trek
Star
fans.
Trek fans. There was John Luke and Riker, Worf,
And Deanna was the psychologist
Yeah,
or
so-
whatever.
each kid. I'm glad she was wrapping all the stuff, guys. I'd never. Yeah, it's.
I just assigned.
I'd end up. Somebody would end up with
Somebody else's
stuff.
gift. But I assigned a Star Trek character. Each kid was a Star Trek character.
Yeah.
But they didn't know which character they were.
I think
So-
the very first one we did was numbers, wasn't it? 1, 2, 3.
I think we did that later when I
Maybe.
ran out of ideas.
Maybe it was. I don't know.
But Lauren still, I think not that long ago, he said he remembered he was Worf. I think Dana might have been Deanna because Deanna was kind of her favorite.
One of our favorites.
But it just made it more fun. Oh,
Yeah.
and there was we did maybe with the younger kids. I can't remember which kids we've got so
It
many
just
kids.
blends. Just
Oh.
blends in.
We
Just-
did. What are you doing like that, Raven?
I don't know what she's doing. She doesn't know what she's doing.
Sit on my knee. Here.
There you go.
We did Winnie the Pooh characters the one
Yeah.
year. And I don't remember who
Who
was
was
who,
he?
but
Who was Eeyore?
yes, there were other years that we just assigned them a number, which is kind of boring. And then we also did. Somebody gave me the idea of just using a different color wrapping paper for each kid, so you didn't even have to put a tag on as long as you kept a list somewhere and knew
Knew which
this
wrapping
color
paper.
is this kid, and then they could play with the
Yeah.
gifts, go under the tree and shake them and squeeze them. And
They'd figure it out though on
sometimes they knew ahead of
Eve.
time.
On Christmas Eve, they would find out. Okay, now you get to open one present, and everybody they all knew by the time they were 10 or so that the one present they got to open was new jammies.
The traditional Christmas pajamas.
Yeah, always wake up in the morning, you got your new
You look
jammies
good for pictures
Yeah.
that way.
on.
But we usually, just to make it a little bit more interesting, we put just one little gift in with their pajamas.
Yeah.
And then later years, we started putting a DVD, or, well, probably a VHS.
VHS, yeah.
Way back.
Yeah.
So and then some years we even added hot chocolate and popcorn in later years.
Just like the little package, or smell
Yeah,
like
just-
a big jar.
Yeah, just so they could have a popcorn and have hot chocolate and watch a movie. And we're still doing that with a few of our grandkids.
Mhm.
We just went the other day and picked up the jammies for when they're here. They
Yeah.
come on Christmas Eve and they'll get them then.
Oh, hang on. Raven. I don't know. I think she's going to have to go on your knee.
I don't know. John,
Okay, Raven, get over there. You're too awkward. You're moving around too much. Yeah, I
Yeah.
gave you away. That's what you get for moving around. I gotta check my notes. Oh, there was one memory we missed from the traditions video. Because we got sidetracked on that long story,
Can you imagine us getting sidetracked?
I started out talking about the one line in the tradition song, going to Grandma's house, and then got off on that tangent about the Christmas Eve that Dana
Yeah.
got lost. So we didn't really go much beyond the fact that we were there pretty much every
Really?
Christmas.
She's,
Well, you keep calling her the superstar, so
I
she's
know,
going to
like-
try and get in front of
I
you.
was just looking. She's right in, like, looking straight.
Okay, Raven.
Yeah.
What are you
She's
doing?
blocking my head, though.
Yes, I know she is. So you're just going to
Yeah.
have to make her lie down.
Over here. Look over here. Look at the camera.
And she's
Okay.
probably still blocking the camera. Okay.
Sorry.
So back to what I'm totally distracted by Raven, the superstar,
Just trying to hog the spotlight.
Okay, don't pet her. She'll want to on you.
Okay.
Anyway, pretty much every year, I think I only remember one Christmas we didn't go out to the farm, but there was always lots of family, lots
Yeah.
of food, lots of fun and games, and just sitting around visiting. And the kids got to see all their cousins. But
Yeah, you used to say, what kind of pie you want? I said, yep.
but in the mid 80s, things changed. There was still lots of food and fun, but our focus changed. Neither one of us growing up went to church as kids. I just looking at Raven looking at this. Anyway, neither one of us went to church as kids, and so and in the early years, like 5 years into our marriage, like the real meaning of Christmas just wasn't part of our celebrations, other than singing the Christmas carols and things like that. But in the mid 80s, several of my family members came to know Jesus, and then the whole focus of Christmas changed, and Christmas just became even more special. And we had started going to the Evangelical Free Church here in Carberry, and one Christmas, Mom and Dad invited Pastor Ed and his wife Wilma to join us for Christmas dinner. And when we made the traditions video, we wanted to include a picture of that Christmas, but we couldn't find the picture.
No, looked everywhere.
And then the next day, you're on Facebook.
The next day, I checked my Facebook memories, and what do I see? There's the picture.
So we are going to include that right here. It was a full table for turkey dinner, and we all enjoyed having Pastor Ed share a couple of songs with us. So that was a really nice Christmas to remember. But I want to come back to the Christmas Eve when Dana was lost, because that was probably a few years after we came to know the Lord. And I can't imagine how any of us would have got through that night without Jesus. And years ago, I wrote about that experience, and I want to share some of what I wrote back then. So I'm going to read it, because if I don't, I'll miss something out. So
Follow a squirrel or something.
yes, I will. I'll get distracted again. Okay, you ready to listen, Raven? Okay. It was a beautiful moonlit night, and I remember standing outside wearing little slip-on shoes and no coat, talking to a police officer. Knowing that Dana was wearing a skirt with only thin splash pants over top, I was thankful for the unusually mild December weather. As the hours passed, I thought of all the scenarios of what might have happened. None of them were good. And sitting around the kitchen table at Mom's, hearing some of the terrible stories of what could happen to people on snowmobiles didn't really help me. So all I could do was wait and pray. And sometime during those long hours, I came to the point of surrendering Dana to the Lord. I couldn't understand why he might choose to take her home, but I had to prepare my heart for that possibility. It was 3:30 a.m. when the door opened and Dana walked in. All I could do was hold her and sob. Much later, Dana recounted her side of that long night. Once they made it to the second cabin, several miles down the trail, they were able to start a fire in the stove and stay warm. But as they waited in the dark cabin with only the light of the moon shining through a small window, Kevin was frantic. He tried to convince Dana that even though they were low on fuel, they should try to find their way back to the farm. Dana, on the other hand, had peace, knowing that if they waited patiently, they would soon be home safe. She knew that they couldn't get home on their own and was sure that eventually someone would come for them. And when I wrote this, I couldn't help but to think that as the eve of Jesus' coming draws near, we who have put our faith and trust in Him have that same assurance. We know that there's only one way home, and we wait patiently for our Savior to come and bring us there. May you have the same assurance this Christmas season.
And I hope you enjoyed all this. And thanks for joining us. Merry Christmas.
Bye for now.